Look, if you don't want to make that change within yourself, it's not going to get better. This might not apply to everybody, but if you feel like you're rock bottom, okay, and you're hoping for a better day, but you literally are doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, that's the definition of insanity. You are provided with a choice every day. You are provided with multiple choices throughout the entire day. Take that choice, make that change. You've identified a problem. You're saying you're rock bottom. Got it. You're there now. There's only one way, and it's up. So change your mindset. Use that choice and go a freaking different direction. Love y'all. Faceman VTT out.
Day 3 of retirement. As an infantryman, I was asked if I could clean the sink. So let's look at this. Definitely some kind of grime on there. And I open up the cabinet. What do I use? Nothing comes to mind. Like my experiences, my skill set. Nothing. Wait a minute. Everyone knows this is how you clean everything. Infantry, retired.
You can just take it.
Would you like a military discount?
Do you offer one?
Honestly, cap of the day.
Please.
CC's Pizza is the county fair of restaurants. You go in there, you look around, you feel a little bit better about yourself, then you realize that you're in there too. Tell me I'm wrong. Well, let's be honest. You know, not everybody's made for this life. It's scary. You know, you gotta jump out of a plane while it's moving. That's not natural. It's high, it's fucking wet outside sometimes, it's snowy, it's hot, it's dry, it's shitty. Who the fuck would want to be airborne? Best job I ever had.
Jersey City Police Department responded to yesterday's call at a grocery store knowing one of their own had just been gunned down at a cemetery a mile away.
We're learning new details about the sniper ambush of police officers in downtown Dallas last night.
New information tonight on a shooting that killed a police officer in New Jersey.
Police departments around the country are telling their personnel to be extra vigilant.
Before I start my tour, I kiss my kids and wonder if I make it back home tonight to see another shift. I can't imagine them not seeing me walk through that door. But I know my purpose is and what I do it for. There's a heart that's beating behind each uniform, but there's always a time God turns the music off. I wonder if I'm really out here making changes, trying to bring peace to a place that is full of hatred. I'm frontline even though I know that it's dangerous. If they kill me, it might even make them famous. They act heinous, maneuvering with bangers. Often me might put a couple stripes on a gangster. Like Truman, every step I take is recorded. They can't see the real me, all the pictures are distorted. I stand the tallest, we're never repping the fallen. Where the blue line are those who died during deployments. Another day, it's another day. Thank God for another day. I know they wanna see us dead, but this line, it'll never fade. Another day, it's another day. I praise God for another day. When evil wanna have his way, the good ones will never break.
FleetTex is a proud partner of Veteran Trash Talk and has bought into the mission of lowering the veteran suicide rate. FleetTex wants to hire veteran trash talkers to install GPS tracking systems on fleet vehicles, focusing on Illinois, New Jersey, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee, but opportunities exist nationwide. Go to www.fleet-techs.com and apply today.
What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. Welcome to episode 107 of the Trash Talk Hour. Special guest today is Matt, who runs a first responder nonprofit, and returning guest Bookham, a New Jersey police officer who does amazing things in his community, and he's got bars, okay? And as always, I'm here with Buddy and Nick. How's everybody doing today? Cheers. Cheers.
Oh,
Cheers.
good. Cheers, guys. Cheers, fellas. Cheers.
I love your hair today, buddy. You're looking good, man.
Hey, Buddy looks really good.
Some Saturdays you got to take a shower.
Really good.
Yeah.
What do you do on football Sundays, bro? That's it.
He's a football Saturday guy.
In fact, football starts in a couple. Well, Tennessee's already kind of in a little bit of a scrap with Georgia. Looks like they may not pull that one out.
Oof. Well, they are 10-point dogs. So
yeah. Well, right now it's
against the dogs. You get how I did that?
Yeah. Oh, I got it.
We see what you did there. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah.
All right, Dave. What we got?
So we're gonna kickstart the dumpster fire with a conspiracy theory. Okay. This one I sent the picture to Chris. I don't know if it's up. I don't know if anybody sees it, but today we're gonna talk about the New Jersey Devil. Okay. And that's actually the mascot of New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. You know, a lot of states have like mascots of like flowers and different animals. New Jersey has the New Jersey Devil. So I took some notes. So the rumor has it that in 1735, Deborah Leeds gave birth to the New Jersey Devil. Okay, it was her 13th child. Apparently she didn't want the 13th child, and she was praying to God to say, hey, you know, hopefully this, you know, I miscarry or something. She just didn't want the kid. Okay. The child was born, and about 20 minutes later, shit hit the fan, okay? The baby grew to the size of 2 full-grown men, developed a horse head, wings, goat feet, red eyes, and a serpentine tail, okay? And then with one swipe, it basically killed the midwife that was there, escaped through the chimney into the pines of New Jersey, and disappeared, okay? So a lot of speculation if that really occurred. There was a dead midwife. Some crazy shit, okay? Again, this was in 1735, so do we really know? But that's what occurred. So then a rash of sightings happened again in 1909, which included livestock being slaughtered, even the military shooting a cannon at it, okay? In New Jersey, there was this military base, and they shot a cannon at it.
Not really a point weapon.
Yeah, I know. They shot a cannon at it, hit it, and then it ran back into the woods. There were over thousands of sightings during that time. And the state of New Jersey actually ordered kids to stay inside because New Jersey Devil would kill these kids if they were outside. They placed a $10,000 bounty on it. Okay.
Back in that day.
Yeah. 10,000. That's a lot of fucking money, right? Yeah. Yeah. And there were news reports, paper, whatever, all kinds of stuff. And they actually found tracks in the woods. Okay. And they had bloodhounds that were supposed to, follow these tracks. And the bloodhounds were like, fuck that. Like running the opposite direction because they didn't want any part of it. Okay. And then back in the 1960s, all that shit started back up. All right. Cattle mutilations, chickens missing, like dead cats, all kinds of crazy shit. And a $250,000 bounty was put on the New Jersey Devil. Again, with no avail. They didn't find him. Okay. And then sightings have occurred ever since then, with the last one actually being in 2015. And it was actually on the news. Okay. There's pictures, apparently. They look kind of blurry, so I didn't share the pictures, but of this thing flying through the woods, okay? So I don't know. Crazy shit. New Jersey Devil. I mean, we've talked about some crazy stuff on here. I don't know. I think the Monkey Man in New Delhi seems more plausible than the New Jersey Devil, and we talked about him a while ago. So I personally don't think it's real. It doesn't exist. Never happened. I think it's just folklore, it's just a tale, like they say dragons and all kinds of shit and trolls.
Those are real.
I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. Not my thing. I'm going to say no to the New Jersey Devil. Even though I believe in like UFOs and aliens and all that crazy stuff, I'm going to say hard no on me. All right. So Matt, what's your take on the New Jersey Devil?
Yeah, I'm going to say hard no too. I have, some people in my family like to spin the yarn, so to speak. I got a grandfather from West Virginia, mountain guy, coal mining, who had some crazy ass stories like that. And yeah, No, I'm going to say no on the New Jersey Devil for me for sure.
So what are your thoughts though on the sightings? Like just people making shit up, and then like the military shooting a cannon at it, like.
So here's the other experience, right? The being in Chicago, when you hear folklores and all this stuff like that, there's a lot of crazy stuff that people will do to like go to extremes to make those things seem true.
Absolutely.
About all sorts of stuff. So I think people are crazy and will do what they need to do to make those things seem real. So I'm going to say the sightings are some interesting contraptions and people trying to make that thing sound real for sure.
Pass. Okay. All right. I'll take it. Bookham, what's your take on the New Jersey Devil?
You're muted.
You're muted,
Yeah,
brother.
no, I know.
Yeah.
For some reason, my computer's lagging a little bit. But anyway, I think it's
the devil.
I think it's the Jersey Devil.
He's there
because I am in Jersey.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's all BS, but with a spin on it. I do believe in extraterrestrial monsters or something. I definitely don't think that we're the only life form that inhabits this planet. There's no way. I believe that it's something and people don't know how to explain it. So they just create this narrative or this story because it sounds amazing. But I definitely, if you guys research, when you saw me looking off screen, I was looking at my phone because I forgot the name of it. I saw a documentary on Netflix, Skinwalker Ranch. Have you guys heard of it?
We talked about that on this show as well.
Yeah.
It's in where's it? Utah, right?
Utah. Yeah. So I saw that.
Drink the blood of the babies.
Yeah.
That's a whole different one, but
that's a different one. Yeah, that's in Arizona.
Yeah. Skinwalker Ranch is pretty intense. They got like portals there and a bunch of
they had
phenomena that occurs. Yeah.
Obviously,
I just believe that there's some extra. It sounds crazy because nobody ever wants to hear that. But I truly feel that there's like this extraterrestrial element that's here. We don't see it. It doesn't want to make itself visible. And I believe that that's why we see these in Puerto Rico. We had the chupacabra. I know you guys heard about it.
Yeah.
Where livestock was getting eaten.
Chupacabras are real.
Yeah, those are real. I don't know of anyone that's actually taken a picture of one and have seen one on their property. But these type of things, I just feel, and there are hybrid animals out there, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there are hybrid animals. So
like the liger.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's my take on it. The whole story.
Possibly not. Yeah. Julie in the chat says, no, it's not Julie. Crystal White says, sounds like the drugs were worse back then. So her explanation is everybody was high when they saw the New Jersey Devil.
Well, yeah, that's
Crystal. That's usually Joe's take on everything. It's just drugs. So we can probably get the best take ever. Because
if you watch our fight show from last night, he was smoking weed on the show. So yeah, that's always his answer.
buddy, here we go.
I have been waiting patiently.
You were so good. You were so good today.
There were a couple times I almost, and then I was like, just take a note. Just took notes. All right. Nope. I got two questions. Question number one.
Okay.
Why is it the cameras that everyone uses to take pictures of like the Loch Ness Monster, Sasquatch, apparently the New Jersey, why are they all blurred?
I got that answer. I know that answer. I know that answer.
Weird ass animals have. Is that what it is? Like they blur out cameras, but every picture, it's a picture, but it's a little blurry. Like nobody's got autofocus. Nobody's got a camera. You got an iPhone 27. You can't get a clear picture. What the hell is going on? I don't get it. Here's the second thing. Who was this chick fucking? What? Who had the
and why didn't she want the kid?
How do you get that much? Where is all this semen coming from? From serpents and sheep and goats? Did she fall into a farm and everybody was just like, damn, mama?
Don't forget he had a horse head.
We were
he had a horse head.
The horse is the most.
This is where the Tijuana show was bred. This is where it was made.
Was basically Noah's Ark, 2x2, just coming on in. having weird ass babies. Where was she living? That's what I want to know. I'm gonna go with bullshit. I'm gonna go. I know just enough about biology to know that that's not a thing. But I digress.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Go ahead.
It was a good take.
Somebody needs to answer my questions, though.
Yeah,
That's what I need.
Buddy's got questions. We need some answers.
What's going on?
I'm gonna tie a lot of things together here because I believe in fate, right? I believe in things coming together for a reason, right? So when Matt talks about West Virginia, that triggered me. All right, because that's sort of my father's line is from West Virginia, right? And they also moved, the people who didn't want to bang their sisters, right? They moved away, right? But we're talking, my father's line got here in the 1600s. So like we ran out of people. So that also helps Buddy's question of who is she having sex with? Like there weren't that many people back then in America, right? So maybe it's a bastard child. I'm going to say that the devil does exist. Okay. I'm going to go with yes. However, I'm not going to go with an actual horse head, as this kid was probably locked up like an Iraqi kid to a roof somewhere, right? Not allowed to do anything, right? Probably beaten, right? And then he got out.
Oh, like that one kid we found on that one roof during that raid in Iraq?
Yeah. Well, I should have shot him. I got yelled at for another innocent person I didn't kill. I got yelled at for by Perez. I
felt so bad for that kid, man.
Yeah. Well,
he was literally drinking water out of a dog bowl.
Yeah, and he came over the roof when we were walking up to him.
I almost shot him.
And I was like, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's like, but just it wasn't a TTP for the Al Qaeda to yell at you before they shot at you over a roof. So like that kind of stopped me from plugging the guy who was special needs. But so I'm gonna say that the devil is real, and I believe he found somebody else that he could sleep with, because again, there weren't many people to sleep with back then. So
1735, that's a long time ago.
Right. So yes,
with basically anybody.
He's not the real devil, but this was a bastard child that got out, right? And then just started to wreak havoc on the community as revenge, like Freddy Krueger. You know what I'm saying? So like I think it existed. I think he killed a horse and then used the horse head. Right.
What about the flying? Is he jumping out of trees and stuff?
He can fly. He's got bat wings.
And then again, we use these stories that are you need at least 10% truth for people to somewhat believe you, right? Otherwise, you're just wild person, but you're a maniac.
So are you saying that he like fashioned some wings out of, and he was like hang gliding around with
it's like a bastard child, but like Bruce Wayne at the same time. He's got the gear. Okay.
So imagine somebody like Bruce Wayne, but not having the money and having to live in the woods and having to learn all this stuff. Dude, he probably becomes pretty badass, right? Like probably doing some wild shit. So I'm gonna go with he existed, and then I'm gonna go with the fairy tales about this person, this devil, grew because that's how parents used it to discipline their kids.
Yes,
they did. That is actually some of the information I read. Yeah, stay inside.
And
don't be bad. The Jersey Devil's going to come get you.
For those of you who are calling the big girl full of shit, how many of you stayed inside 2 years ago? All right. Yeah, you did. All right. You got scared by a fairy tale story, right? Like, sorry. Okay. Like, that's what it was. Hey, we should shut all of our business down. Yeah, fuck this, man. We might get the flu. You're like, okay. All right. So either way, so before you call the big girl full of shit, just I want to know what you did 2 years ago. All right. I shut everything down.
I continue to do the same things I was doing.
Exactly. Because I would fuck the devil up, dude. Like, you want to come in my house? Dude, let's go.
Well,
not the actual devil, buddy. This devil that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right, like, because how's he supposed to fight me with a horse head on?
Dude,
right? Like,
listen, this whole virus thing was real. I'm not gonna get
the virus was 100% real.
No, what I'm saying is that's a great topic, but there's a documentary out right now that's coming out. It's a trailer. It's coming out in silence, and it's called I'll get the name of it. It's crazy. It talks about a cleansing, because we're becoming too populated, and it's just so deep, man.
You're talking about the population control theory.
We can do a whole show on that stuff, man. You got my tinfoil hat, like
going crazy right now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. But well, no, we definitely want all the boomers to die, right? Everybody, everybody. I say a collective we as the people doing these things, right? So we want the boomers to die because I've said it before on the show. They're gonna give the most. It's gonna be the largest transformation of wealth in recorded history. All right. So the longer that these boomers stay alive, right, and they're all in charge right now, so they're making rules like shutdowns and shit like that to stay alive. When China was like, dude, we're trying to do you all a favor. We built this shit because it's only gonna kill old people, right? Like fucking everybody gonna have money. All right, let it go. All right, and we stopped it, to some certain extent. But yeah, is it plausible that other people want to kill other people? I think we know that's true. But yeah, we stopped it, to some certain. Oh, somebody's listening. But
I don't know who did that.
Yeah. All right. But hey, so that's another show. We could talk about that another show. But hey, let's get to. I've been waiting for this. Let's get to Buddy's honesty cap. That's what I want to hear.
Oh, my turn. Here we go. I should have read the script.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers.
So today is the. I don't know if you guys got your watches on. Today's the 5th of November. Now in my town where I live, we were supposed to have a Veterans Day parade today. It got canceled. Here's my question. If Christmas falls on a Wednesday, we don't change when we celebrate Christmas to a fucking Saturday so that it's convenient. What the veteran community did for the country and for the world is, I would say, right along the whole Jesus thing. So why the fuck are we changing the day that we celebrate Veterans Day to a convenient day? What we did wasn't convenient for us. So we're not even going to talk about the fact that the actual 11th of November falls on a Friday when you're going to be out of school and off work anyway, and we could have just had Veterans Day parades on Friday, and it would have been completely normal. You'd have just gotten a 3-day weekend out of it. But even if it was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, let your kids out of school. Let them go see what veterans look like. Let them pay homage to the veteran community. It's the one day a year that we stop and take a second to think about all of the people who have served in the military. For my town, it was supposed to be veterans and first responders parade.
Oh, we have to put them in there.
Hey, I'm down with sharing it with them. I mean, to me, they're deployed 365 days.
I know, buddy. I was setting you up.
I know, it was a joke.
That being said, put fucking Veterans Day on fucking Veterans Day. There's no reason to have a parade on a fucking Saturday on the 5th.
I gotta stop.
Have it on the 11th. Go ahead.
I gotta stop you, buddy. I just want to say this. I'm a first responder, but you can't compare the two. You can't.
Yes, you can.
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna tell you why. In my opinion, you can't. Reason why, in my opinion, you're deployed to a whole nother region, a whole nother lay of land. You don't know the lay of the land. You don't know the culture. You don't know the people. The dangers that you face are paramount. In law enforcement, yes, we face a lot of dangers. But for the most part, we should know our community. We should know the people that we're dealing with, and we should know ways to approach these people. So like I said, prime example, when my brother said when he was going to that roof and yelled at him, he learned that the culture of the Al-Qaeda was to not yell or do something abrupt before they're going to try to kill you. So like I said,
unless they're blowing themselves up, then you're going to get a yell, but it's going to be it's not going to be it's
a different yell, different tone, different dialect.
But you get what I'm saying.
Don't get me wrong, Bookham. I'm not saying that we're exactly the same. But what I am saying is that I don't mind sharing a day with people that A, don't have a day, and B, I think we should all have a mutual respect for.
Absolutely. Yes.
So it doesn't bother me at all to have a veteran / first responder parade.
Yes.
Because why not?
I agree.
Give each of them a time to and to not to mention a lot of first responders meet those criteria.
Buddy, so, I got something to bring up to this point, right? So recently a veteran who was also a Chicago police officer, a guy named Danny Golden. I don't know if you guys have heard about this story, but Danny was off duty, broke up a fight. It broke up a fight at a bar, walking away. Bad guys shot him in the back, paralyzed from the waist down. Right, just awful story. This guy, when he's driving back home to the south side in Mount Greenwood, which in Chicago, that's a big first responder community, cop community, especially. A parade for the guy on his way home, right? Coming out of the hospital to come home. 7,000 people out there, huge. My son and I are out there with my 9-year-old son, looks up at me and says, "Hey, Dad, how come they don't do this for these guys more often? Why do we have to wait till he gets hurt, right? Why does he have to?" And I had some other coppers standing around me that like look over and like, the kid's got a point, right? Like, why do we have to wait till somebody gets hurt to show them the respect that they deserve? And there's something to be said about what you're saying with the veteran side of things as well. It is, I mean, the parade aspect that frustrates me too. I'm with you, but yeah, that there's something to that.
You raised a good kid there, man.
Buddy, what I'm starting to think about here is our friend Jay, right? Our friend Jay, old Ranger buddy of mine, and he bought a fire truck. And the reason he bought a fire truck, one, because he had Bitcoin when it was real cheap before, but he bought a fire truck because he was like, we've been in the longest war in American history, right? And technically it just ended, right? Even though we're still deployed in multiple countries in the same regions doing things. But where's our parade? So what he decided to do, like we love to talk about Veteran Trash Talk, was I'm going to throw my own fucking parade. And so he bought a fire truck. Right. So that's coming. We're about to have a one fire truck parade for all the GWAT soldiers. It's coming. But hey, buddy, Buddy normally doesn't get cut off during his honesty cap. So where is this going?
Oh, well, first of all, that was the first thing. First thing was celebrate Veterans Day on Veterans Day. Doesn't matter if it's convenient for you. Shut down some businesses, get out, let people do Veterans Day. Not a huge deal. Second thing, for veterans, I know that everybody is all hyped up. It's almost that time. It's almost that special time of year where you go get apps at Applebee's for next to nothing.
Yes.
Where you can go from breakfast to dinner, free meals. Just
Haircuts,
great clips,
car washes.
Everybody thanking you for your service, and you're getting your little
I milk that shit so bad. Oh.
Yeah, well, this is what I suggest for you. Go with your boys and do that. Like, call up some of your old buddies and go to Applebee's and have a meal and talk about the old days. Talk about all of the things. Talk about the struggles that you've had since you got out. Take a little bit of time for yourselves and talk about your mental health. Talk about all of the things that you've been through from point A when you met them to point B where you're at right now, and then where you're going to go to point C. Like, take a little bit of time to deal with your own issues and hang out with the people that you became a veteran with, and see how much therapy that does for you.
It's impactful
in your entire soul.
Absolutely.
Just a suggestion.
Right. And then,
I mean, that's what Nick always brings us up. That's what we do every Saturday. It's like our therapy. We look forward to this day to get together and just talk and bullshit, because it's almost like we're back in the barracks. That has always been my best coping mechanism with all the shit that we went through, just talk about it, but you got to do it, especially with your veteran buddies. It's completely different than talking to a civilian about it, which nothing against civilians. I'll tell them the stories as well. But when that mutual understanding between two vets is just a whole different thing. So yeah, super important. You literally just talked about this shirt, buddy. Get the demons out.
Get the
demons
out.
Out.
And then for those of you, watching, you obviously get social media because you're watching us. For those of you listening to this on a podcast who refuse to turn on Zoom or Microsoft Teams or something like that, do it. Right? Invite your friends on there. You can literally talk to your whole squad that you were in 20 years ago, like we're talking right now. Right? And that's how important it is. And buddy, that is
powerful.
I'm glad you closed it out that way with your honesty cap, because that's right. Like, Veterans Day, why not, as a veteran, especially to you guys on the page, I'm talking about, who say like, I don't go get free shit. I don't do that.
Then don't. I don't.
Then don't, dude. Like, then don't. Right. But we're still going to give the businesses and the corporations that give free meals out. And I'm talking, like Texas Roadhouse, you know how much they lose on Veterans Day? Oh, it's a tax write-off. You know how much they freaking lose? Right? Like, I mean, they millions, okay? Millions of dollars of food goes to veterans that day. Why would we not say, hey, thanks, Texas Roadhouse? Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
And then use it for something therapeutic.
Right.
Like I said, go with your boys.
Be productive. Yeah.
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 But no,
and don't just go with your boys. Take your families with you so they can hear what you guys have been through.
And Monica wants us to say Applebee's. Monica.
Yes, Monica. We'll give you the shout out.
Monica.
Shout out to
I already said
Applebee's.
Monica,
Monica,
calm down.
Applebee's.
I
And
started off with Applebee's.
I was about to segue this into Bookham, but he just had to go take a poop. All right, so we don't know what happened. So,
Hey, you don't know. He could have got a call. He had to go book somebody.
He's got to go book somebody. I think he's a detective now, isn't he? So he ain't got to go nowhere.
Sheriff or
Right.
detective?
I don't know what type of detective
He went dark
There he
side.
is. There he is.
Dark side.
There you go.
So he doesn't hear what we're saying about it right now, so that's why it's good. But I mean, sheriffs are pretty much just correctional guards like that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Bookham, we were waiting on you because the floor is yours right now, man.
So hey,
yeah.
Before I turn it over to Bookham, let me talk a little bit about the first time Bookham was on the show and some of the fights that wasn't a fight, just conversations Dave and I had about bringing first responders in. And this kind of goes into what you were saying, Bookham, about we're not the same. Or again, we like to say that about all veterans themselves. We're not the same. All right. Not all veterans are the same. Okay. We have a commonality where we decided to serve. Okay. But it doesn't mean that your PTSD, the blanket term that it is the same as mine. Like mine causes anxiety. And I've talked about this on the show, right? Like it's what it does to me. I don't get depressed, right? I don't have a lot of nightmares that I know about, but like whatever. For the cops, and Buddy said it the best, even firemen too, like 100% firemen, the things that they see, right? The things that they do for, again, not a lot of pay. All right. But again, it is a service job. So that whole pay thing could be a whole different other conversation. You guys are very similar. First responders are very similar, just like paramedics or even nurses, right? To where you see shit that if you keep that bottled up inside, right, it's eventually going to eat you, right? And before you even know it, you've already alienated probably 3 or 4 family members, probably 2 divorces, blah, 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 whatever. Why? Because
went to a shell. Yeah.
But yeah, you went into a shell, right? So you guys, yeah, you're not the same as the military going to a different country and banging shit. In our opinion, Buddy's shared this before. In our opinion, it's almost worse because you got to put a jacket on every day.
Every day.
365
in your own hometown.
In your own hometown.
And depending on where you're at, like we're gonna get into that, probably like Chicago or something.
Right.
Or even you're in Jersey. You got some rough
Chicago.
areas in Jersey.
Don't worry. I'll get to.
We're gonna get to Chicago.
I'll get to Chicago. But Bookham. What's new with you, man? What's going on?
Well, guys, the last year has been very eventful, man. Mostly good, thank God. We just became homeowners. So I've been, fixing the house. We fixed the house. We got flooded with Hurricane Ida. So I had to fix it twice. So some ups and downs, but to me, that was the most important because I'm the first in my family to actually have a house. We grew up, in, very poor settings and, jumping apartment to apartment. For me, it was very important for my kids to have a house. You know what I mean? So for me, that's one of the most important that's been going on with me. Work is work. Work has been getting more stressful with the bullshit SOPs, with the rank and file, with the morale issues. I don't want to be toxic, but my brother Matt knows what I'm talking about. The nonsense that we have to deal with politics. It's just, I love my community. I love what I do. But it's unfortunate that the rank and file and certain administrators make it difficult for you to love what you do. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's a great
So
point.
it's just insane, man. With that being said, I'm looking, by the grace of God, everything in God's hands. I'm looking to become sergeant soon. So I'll be in a better position to make some changes, make a better difference within my department. You know what I mean? So, but other than that, everything's great. Thank God. You know, we made it through the COVID without having to get vaccinated. They were pushing me, man. They were pushing me and a few guys to do it. They made our life a living hell because we didn't want to fold. We didn't want to be sheep. So they pushed and tried. You got to get tested twice a week. You got to go. Your kids got to get tested. But I'm like, it is what it is. I'll deal with it. If they fire me, I was ready. I told my wife, I said, listen, I am not getting vaccinated. I am not letting my children get vaccinated. Number one, you better be ready. Not better be, but I told my wife, please be ready to homeschool. And number two, there might be an option that we might have to go to Florida because I was not getting vaccinated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you guys got away with it in the military. We didn't have an option. You know,
that's insane, dude.
I mean, kind of.
Yo, Matt. Yeah, Matt. Check this out, Matt. This is what I was telling, right, brother. This is what I told one of my supervisors. He told me, "Yo, you should get vaccinated. You know, listen, this is only right. You're working with the public. You're in patrol. You're dealing with people." I said, there's been diseases for years upon years that we probably don't know about that we contract throughout our career. But when I signed up for this job, I signed a piece of paper that stated, I'm giving you my work ethic. I'm giving you my talents, my skills, and what I could possibly do for the community. I didn't give you my body. You know what I'm saying? I didn't give you my body to be subjected to be a guinea pig for you to poke me and tell me I got to do this. No, I'm leaving the same way I come in, hopefully, knock on wood. Right. So I'm not subjecting myself to any, and you know what I'm saying?
No, that's a good point. And thank God the New York State Supreme Court just passed a ruling that they have to rehire the nurses that were fired.
Saw that, yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
And also the garbage men, the city worker, the waste management people. They had to back pay them from when they released them, right? And that's again, we have to do this, book them on the show because to make people understand that it's a conversation. For the sake of the record, COVID is the worst thing that's ever happened to the world. Right. For the sake,
economically, just everything.
I'm just saying before economically was not because of COVID, it's because of what we did. Right. So,
well, yes, but that was the ultimate.
Right. But let's just say for the sake of argument, it's the worst fucking thing ever. Right. We all agree on that. Right. At no time in the United States of America are we authorized to make you do something like that with an experimental something. At no time. Right.
Crazy.
Now, everybody will always throw out the catchphrase like, oh, for Darwin's law. Right. Well, okay. That's fine. Like fine.
We'll go that route.
Yeah, we'll go that route. And so I'm glad you brought that up. And then, and what you're talking about how the administration, and this is something that I want to hit, is why first responders or any service job, not just like, cops or firemen or paramedics, even a teacher, right? Like we have to deal with administrative policies. Okay. Every service organization has to do that. So here you go, administrators. And, like we brought it up before, the Jefferson report, the Ferguson report, right? Where it showed how the cops were actually being forced to pull more people over, right? They were being forced to actually harass people. And it happened to be an African-American community, right? So at what point in time does the community stand up, regardless of if they did something wrong or not, is like, dude, leave me the fuck alone. Right. And that report was a brilliant report, but of course it got pushed under the rug because it didn't say anything bad about cops. It said something bad about the mayor, right? It said something bad about the administration. So yes, there is that correlation to veterans of any service job to where we have to do things when we're deployed sometimes that we don't want to do, right? There's things that we're not allowed to do sometimes because of what the administration, i.e. for us, it's the ROE, right? The rules of engagement and the mission set for what we have to do for when we're there.
Yeah, it's a silent tyranny, man.
Yes.
It really is. It's a silent tyranny because you're forced, and you, like you said, administration, they're forced you to do things. Same thing in law enforcement.
Yeah.
You kind of, and forgive me, my brothers, but I can't stand the police culture. What I mean by that is that it creates this robotic mentality, this robotic lifestyle that, oh, I gotta be this, I gotta go drink with the guys, or I gotta do this, or I gotta be cool, I gotta make these multiple arrests, I gotta go to every barbecue and talk about police work throughout the whole duration of the barbecue. I hate that. We gotta teach officers it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to have a culture that's different from what the police culture is. What I mean by that is like, Puerto Rican Americans, Irish Americans, Arabic Americans, whatever. We all have different cultures outside of work. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay to have these different cultures. And the reason, and it's a beautiful thing. And the crazy thing about it is, right? The crazy thing about, I was meeting with some community members, they're Arabic, they're from Palestine. And I was talking to them and I had my legs crossed, right? And not,
You can't do that. Not as a man.
So I didn't, no, not overlapping like this, but like my boot was facing somebody.
Oh no! Bottom of your foot, bottom of the shoe.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So I'm like, so this older gentleman, Arabic, he gets up, he's all pissed off, and he's like,
Did he throw his shoe at you?
No, he didn't say nothing.
That'd be
But
cool.
he was upset. But what I'm saying is, if we only stay in this freaking box, and the administration,
you don't learn stuff like that, right?
Yeah, you don't learn, and the administration keeps you in that box because if you speak up, or in my case, for the first 2 years I was rapping, oh, you can't be rap. Oh my God, what are you doing? But I'm not cursing. I'm not talking politics. I'm not talking religion. What's the problem? I'm doing something that I love to do. And we all have gifts and talents. Some people draw, some people are artists, some people want to be actors outside of law enforcement. Whatever, we all have gifts and talents. But in law enforcement, I don't know if it's the same in the military, but they prohibit you, or they stop you from trying to do something that's outside of the police culture. It's crazy.
No, good point.
Well,
Go ahead, buddy.
Well, it's all got to do with control and them not understanding. But the one thing that I learned in the military about leadership is that you're always going to have different people with different cultures, with different abilities. And a real good leader is the guy that can find out what that person's abilities are and then use them to do the best thing for the organization. So, like, you're a cop, you're also a rapper. Why wouldn't you use that in your organization to link up with people that rap in the community, or that's part of their culture in the community? Like, if you have people that draw, like, okay, like, go out and like find these graffiti guys that are like spraying bullshit everywhere, and be like, hey,
there you go. There you go.
Exactly. A positive way. You know what I mean? But instead, we'll sit back. And administration is, to me, administration in probably the police work or the police world, the fire department world, any world, the administration is so far removed generally from where the metal meets the road that once you're a chief of police, it's been so long since you've driven a car and pulled somebody over that you don't even understand what you're doing. Like, it's just like sergeant majors or colonels in the army. It's been so long since you were in an infantry squad that when you're making these rules, you don't even understand the ramifications of the rules. You're making administrative rules for 20 years ago.
You gotta times change, you gotta evolve.
I'm glad you guys just said that because Mickey on the chat brought up a point here, which necessarily isn't wrong, but it goes into what we're saying. He goes, but what about the old man's respect for the country he currently lives in? Respect has to go both ways. And I said, Mickey, what current situation?
Yeah.
All right. Because if your current situation changes because society is changing, you don't get to be that old stickler on your porch you get to be that one. Actually, America allows that.
You can be that 100%.
Can be that.
No.
But go
wrong.
vote.
There's a happy medium.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a
There
happy
is. There
medium
is.
of saying, hey,
yes.
Look, I have experience. I am the old guy. Mickey, I'm the old guy. In almost every place I go.
Yeah, he's been in the Army for like 47 years.
Friends, when I was in the Army, I was always the old guy. And the thing is, you have experience, but there's a big difference between sharing your knowledge and saying, hey, if you do this and this is going to happen. And then forcing people to not do this so that this doesn't happen. Sometimes you have to let people know what's going to happen and then remove yourself from the situation and let it happen. That way, when they come back to you and they go, hey, so you know that experience you shared with me and you said that would happen? Well, that happened. So share with me some more of your experience and your knowledge.
There you go. Wisdom.
So that the next time I know the difference.
Right.
But
yeah, and
you can't force people to learn.
And then good word right there, Bookham, is wisdom, right? So it's like that's great word. And we'll let's transition to Matt here. So I do have to make a little poke at Chicago. Again, being from Wisconsin, is against my birthright to
we make ourselves an easy target
to like anything from Chicago. And then again, I always I post this on my page probably once a month. It's the website heyjackass.com.
Yeah.
All right. Go look up heyjackass.com where they track every Chicago shooting. Right. Like I'm talking body parts, like what is it? Was it ages, kids? And we did look at it. At first you're kind of laughing, but then you see how many kids are shot. And it's like, okay, it's not really funny anymore.
And it's nonsense.
Right?
Brutal.
Yeah.
It's over nonsense.
It's over nonsense. And then weird when COVID ended, right? I guess it went away for a little bit and people got to go back outside, right? All of a sudden the shootings went up 400%. Weird, right? Like, so either way, the first responders in Chicago, and just like veterans, there are bad military members. There are people who do dumb shit in the military that hurts all of us. All right. Yep. There are bad cops out there, but the majority of service members are doing their fucking job and they're doing it great. The majority of cops out there are doing their job and they're doing it great. They're just trying to help. Okay. And so I got introduced to Matt through our virtual reality company, Moth and Flame, that hired me to influence their suicide intervention training, because they also have to step up their game in the treatment for first responders. And Matt has put his skin in the game, and they have created a nonprofit, the Well, is it RC or is it,
Resource Center? Resource Center.
The Well Resource Center. Okay, the Well RC. All right, so go check it out. And again, what the good, if you have enough good cops, it weeds out the bad ones, but they're still there. Okay. We're talking about the guys that go in there guys and girls that go in there every day to do the right thing. They want to make a change. They want to make a difference. If you don't think that they don't come home with weight on their shoulders, all right, you are a dumb motherfucker. All right. They come home with so much weight and responsibility that, again, we don't get paid a lot. We don't get paid terribly, but for the amount of weight that gets put on us for what we have to do, all right, it's not a lot of money. It's not like we can just go take a vacation to Jamaica for 3 months when we go home, right? Like, no. It's
their mental health is like, I know Bookham talked about this, and Matt's probably going to go into this, but like the mental health situation when you are afraid as a police officer, you go to your supervisor and you say, hey, I'm going through some shit right now. Like, you're risking losing everything.
Right.
Like,
there you go.
I know, Matt, you're going to get into all this, but that's your livelihood. That's your family. So now we're talking about
So what
PTSD ridden officers that are daily, on the job in some of these pretty rough cities. They're fucked up in the head. Like,
so what has Matt done? He'll explain it. But what have we done here at Veteran Trash Talk? We said, you know what? We're not going to bash the VA. We're not going to bash the Army. We're not going to bash the Marine Corps. We're not going to bash the DOD. We're just going to take care of it ourselves.
Yep.
All right. We're just going to do it ourselves. We'll help some people. Some people get pissed off. We block them, whatever. It's like, but we're going to help some people. So
right.
Matt, thank you for putting yours, and it helps us too. Matt, thanks for putting your skin in the game and starting something to take care of the first responders in Chicago. So tell us all about what you got going on, what you're doing, and like I said, thank you for actually doing something about it.
Yeah. No,
Cheers to that.
thanks. It's an honor to be on here, guys, with you, and just to take part in the conversation. Thanks for giving us the platform to share what's happening in our city and the need that's out there. So yeah, like kind of long story short, our organization started really 2016 as a need-based community resource center. I was a pastor in charge of outreach for a church that basically hired me on knowing that I wanted to start a nonprofit in the city. I just didn't know what it was going to be. My brother's a Chicago police sergeant. He's a homicide detective in Area 4, which is west side of Chicago. So most of those shootings you see on Jackass, they make their way through his desk. So he's been doing that for close to 17 years now. But basically what I would see is these guys that would come through our center because we did things that we knew how to do, which was like we did job readiness programs. My wife is amazing. She runs the organization with me. We did sports leagues for kids and basically all these different things as a tool to listen to the needs of the community. We get people in the door and then let's just listen and see what's going on. And everybody that was coming based on our geographic area where we're at, we're on the northwest side here, which the statistic is 30% of Chicago's protective services people live in this zip code. So makes sense. Well, I'm in Copland, right? Makes sense that everybody would come through. And the guys were coming to all these families were coming and started sharing just the mental health crisis and on things and broken families and all this stuff going on. I used to work for a nonprofit that worked with at-risk kids, and the issues that I was seeing both in the at-risk teen world and the first responder community were really similar in the sense that there was families being broken by the environment that they're in, right? Families that were being broken up, and it bothered me. And we started to build some resources to do something about it. And so in 2017, I had already started attending roll calls. If you don't know what a roll call is, it's basically you get your assignment for the day, right? You get your assignment. The lieutenant comes up, gives your assignment for the day, tells you what beat you're going to be on, that kind of thing. And what was happening in our city in the summer of 2017, we had 10 suicides, officer suicides in a 2-month period, 10 of them. 7 of those 10 were immediately or right before or right after roll call. So what's happening is these guys were, getting their assignment and then going into their squad car and swallowing their gun. And, as somebody who's a family member or first responder, my mindset automatically goes, how does this happen? And then it's just my brother, you start picturing him in that scenario. Fortunately for my brother, he's got an amazing, family system, an amazing support system. His kids I joke, so I'm the pastor, right? His kids are the altar boys. My kids are the other ones. They're crazy. No, they're all great. But so my wife and I really were bothered by this. And sometimes when this compassion fills up a feeling and emotion, some action needs to come behind it. So what ended up happening is the commander in our local district, I just asked him, I'd been playing basketball with the guy for a while, just got to know him, do life with him and all that. I said,
tall are you?
5'8". I'm a little white boy that can shoot on occasion.
Play basketball, Nick. They were having some fun. Jesus.
Dude, I'll stick them. I'll stick them. I'll throw that shit in the third row.
You probably will. I'm all right with it. But the guy's name was Bill Looney. I asked Bill, I said, Commander, can this roll call thing, there's a trend here, and I don't know what it is, but do you mind if I just come in and say thanks? Look these guys in the eye, shake their hand, say thank you, because you never know what a handshake and a smile will do for somebody, right? So just built up off of that. So the point now to where what we do is we only go to districts that we're invited to, and basically the commanders make that. Like you said about not bashing anybody, I'm going to try not to bash.
No, you go ahead. This is your subject field.
Right. No, but the department itself has a lot of different issues administratively, like Bookham was talking about.
Lightfoot.
That's one of the main issues, right? Kim Fox, Lightfoot, both of them. We're hoping and praying for a new election that things go the right way, right? But it's caused a lot of problems and a lot of mental health crisis going on. So basically what happened is we come in, we share with the guys, but the only way we know how to build trust with this community is time and consistency. You have to be seen as part of the team. We're an outside organization, right? Which in our city, outside organization is better because they don't trust their own organization. Like you said earlier, going to the boss.
That's sad though,
It's a true. You should be able to go to your supervisors, and there's good bosses out there for sure that guys do trust and they will go to. But you should, like EAP, there are and so at this time, I'm going back a little bit, at that 2017 time, what I learned, I was like, you guys are the Chicago Police Department. You're one of the biggest departments in the country. You got to have your own therapists and things, right? Well, on the news, what would happen is Rahm Emanuel came on after all these suicides, says, hey, we're going to start taking better care of these guys. We're going to double the amount of therapists we have, right? We're going to double the amount of therapists we have.
Just
to take
backs
care
up the back end of it, not the front end.
Right. Well, here's the problem.
So now what, they got 4?
They went from 5 to 10 for 13,500 police officers and their families, right? And that's not a knock on EAP. That means there's a lack of resources that they have completely. So our job was, how can we step into this, right? So now what we have, I have 3 licensed therapists that work for me. I have a pastoral counseling background as well, where we provide the atmosphere, right? So like I'm sitting in our drop-in center right now, just like you guys talked about, like the Applebee's and giving that space to come and hang out. We've created a mental health organization that's a destination. Guys want to come here and want to be a part of it, whether it's watching a Monday night football game.
That is so essential, bro.
Exactly. You just create the environment. So we have a bunch of different like social type programs to invite and build up the trust. So we have like a law enforcement jiu-jitsu group that meets every Tuesday night. We have 2 different basketball groups. We have a male and female group. We have male first responder group that meets every Monday night, talk about our mental health and where we're at. Every Wednesday night is a spouses and girlfriends group that my wife leads. We basically have something every night of the week that is designed to create a fun atmosphere. So to smash the stigmas that come along with mental health, especially in the first responder community, and just build up from there. So we have an amazing donor base that makes it all free. So everything we do is completely free. You guys know the mindset. If there's insurance that, gets passed, if there's a PPO or a HMO when you get collected, that therefore some guys, not everybody, there's a paper trail, right? So that could be going back to my boss, that could be getting there. We've eliminated that. We have our own malpractice insurance. We take care of all that so that the guys come in, we fill out our HIPAA, you fill out the stuff that says this is private and all that, but everything is completely free. And there's no state or government funding behind it, something that I'm proud of, because we have a donor base, and we are growing tremendously because the need is growing in our city, but also something I'm proud of myself and our team and just the group around us is we built up that trust where there's no question of when you're in need, who's the phone call that you're picking up and calling. It's easier to call a face than it is a hotline, right? You got to be able to call a face and a name and somebody that the brothers that have done life together.
Yes.
That doesn't mean they're calling me. It's us creating the environment so they know who they can call.
Brother, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Shut up, Dave.
Can I ask you a question, brother?
Yeah.
Bro, number one, I applaud. I love what you're doing, and I would love to link up with you and do something, man. I love what you're doing. I think that's essential, bro. Creating a safe space. My question to you is, what are some of the things you're dealing with mentally from these officers that are walking in? Like, what is the abundance of problem that you're seeing?
Well, most people would assume that because we're in Chicago, and like you said, the things that they see, the wording I use is the poison that they're taking in, right? Where are they given the space to spit that out? They're not going to do it with their loved ones, right? They're not going to do that. So where are they getting the space? But at the same time, most people would assume that it's trauma, that it's PTSD. For sure, we see our percentages of that. My therapists are trained in EMDR training, which if you've never heard of it, seen it, or had it for PTSD, I think it works wonders. I've seen it work wonders. But yeah, a lot of the stuff we're seeing, we have an incredibly high divorce rate amongst first responders in our city. So you see a lot of marital issues, a lot of guys on second and third marriages, second families, different things like that. That brings all of its own issues that come with that. We work with a lot of kids. Unfortunately, I have some kids that have some major anxiety disorders. I have one client right now that can't go to bed or can't sleep whenever dad's at work, right? And the guy's like, he's a narcotics guy. He's like, I sit on a wire. You got nothing to worry about. All I do is listen to people talk. I'm not kicking in doors. I'm not doing it. But it's because, you know, this is an 8-year-old. Because I listen to the news and I see the things that are out there in the atmosphere of police being the villains and all that stuff. It has a huge effect. So I would say, you know, to answer your question, the broken family stuff is a big part of what we deal with. The suicide rates, you know, it's a Chicago Police Department suicide rate is 60% higher than any other law enforcement organization in the country. That we've had 8 this year. We, you know, like it's been brutal. 3 of those were in September. All different ages on those officers. You know, part of my job is I get called to some of those scenes to care for the guys around because it has a ripple effect against the entire department. Most recently, September 10th. I won't get into the whole story because it chokes me up big time. But yeah,
you can cry. You can cry in here. Even Buddy's cried in here once.
I got one of my sergeants called me and said, "Hey, you know, we need you out here. The family's hurting. Wife found the husband. You know, the guy had a severe drinking problem. Had retired 9 days before. Had just retired, 15-year vet. U-Haul was in the front. He was getting ready to packed, ready to go. He was getting ready to move out. He was taking a suburban job in the middle, like where I'm sure you guys are dealing with in New Jersey. We have a lot of laterals, like people getting out of the big city stuff, going to smaller departments, things like that. He was going to a smaller department, kind of had a relapse on the drinking issue. His wife called him out. She said everything right. She said everything right. And I don't want to put his name out there just because the respect of the family. But she said everything right to him in a sense of we are going to get through this together. It wasn't an accusation. You know, she wasn't using accusatory language, all that kind of stuff. She said, we're going to get through this together. We're going to get you back in rehab, you know, and we'll take care of it. And the guy's last text message to his wife is, sorry, I'm such a piece of shit. I love you. I'm leaving now. You know, you know, but for me, the most memorable thing about that scene was watching the body get loaded onto the ambulance with the American flag and everybody else standing around saluting it, and watching the eyes of the officers, watching for the fallen brother, the head of the chaplain division, Father Dan Brandt, who was like the best, unbelievable respect for this guy. He did a prayer over the body and everything, and it was it just shouldn't be, right? It just shouldn't be, and for us organizationally, we're trying to create an environment where it's proactive rather than reactive. Don't wait until you're drowning before you know what's going to save you, right? So we try to create the safe place that's like, there's no question where I'm going to go. There's no question where I'm going to call and all that, because I'm already there. I'm already in that space.
Yeah.
Hey,
Matt, Monica on the thread, she's VTT's 08254 cable, which is how we connect people, right? With the radios and the antennas. And she's like, when I booked you for the show, because I loved what you guys were doing based off of our other meeting, it didn't hit me at first, and I was like, oh shit, book him. I was like, Dave, can we get book him on the show? And I was like, let's connect these guys. And she goes, that's what VTT is all about. And there's 2 reasons for that. And the one reason is I was already a believer in what you're doing. However, I'm not a cop. All right. I wanted to bring a cop on. Maybe he texts us after the show and says, fuck these guys. But right away, he's vetted you already. And he's like, dude, let's link up. And so what Monica said is that's what VTU does, is we connect people. And then she also says real men cry. First of all, everybody cries.
I cried like a little baby for the movie From Scratch recently.
Everybody cries.
That movie was crazy.
Everybody cries. All right. It's just a real man says it's okay. All right.
Yeah,
for sure.
Not true. Some people just get allergies. I get allergies.
My hay fever. I'm allergic to grass.
For some reason, I get allergies every Sunday morning at church. I don't know what it is.
Hey, Matt, before I take this into a question, PJ says, high rate of divorce, as you mentioned, is a lot of the time due to the transition from work to home, in the sense that the emotional labor is brought into the marriage. constantly being an authoritative entity that coming home to a partnership that's equal is tough.
Shout out to Paul.
Yeah, I know that's Paul, but like, and again, that's what we talked about like earlier in the show, was that like when you keep it inside and you come home and you expect a spouse to understand without telling them when they're supposed to be equal. All right. Like,
I mean, how do you share with a spouse when you don't understand what you're
right.
Again,
you know what I mean?
So I'm gonna give you my personal experience of, you know, with me and my wife, which obviously everybody on this on the VTT side knows that my wife and we have our problems, and she's probably watching. Like, we have our problems, okay? But like I tried my hardest not to say some things to her, but I also tried my hardest to say things to her. Like, hey, this is what I deal with, right? But it's impossible, all right? So that's what it takes, stronger people inside and that connection, that love and everything, to actually work through the times when you're being a dick, all right? And I'm a dick a lot more times than my wife is, right? That's a fact. Like, here's what I get into. I got a big money guy on the thread right now, and I'm going to call him out. All right. He was a captain, and he's in Chicago. Right. And he works for Northwestern Mutual, who is tagged.
I'm very familiar with this organization.
Who is tagged in this thread. So how do people donate to your nonprofit, which is a phenomenal nonprofit, in my opinion? How do they donate to it? How do they get there?
So first of all, if I could be in multiple different places, I would be in multiple different places, but there is a space for that. And the reason I say that is our fundraising philosophy is something that I learned from my old boss a long time ago, is people give to people they know, trust, and care for, right? So when you're making an investment in a nonprofit organization, you want to give to somebody you know, right? You want to have that relationship. So for me, as a fundraiser, it's really important to build those relationships up. So I always look to build the relationship up first and focus on the relationship. And I know that the funding will come at some point, and it has. And fortunately for us, we have some amazing relationships. So your buddy at Northwestern Mutual, he and I guarantee we know of some of the same people. But at the same time, one of the best ways to do it is you can go on our website, thewellrc.org, and you can go to the giving page and you can give that way. And all those dollars are going to taking care of these guys and their families. The spouses and the girlfriends aspect of things, and just the family members, the extended family, people, the civilian world just forgets how effect of what happens to these guys. The guys have to worry about getting charged and going to prison time for using their tasers now. There's all this kind of stuff and how that affects it. Just to give a point to this, my sister-in-law said this to me the other day. A while back now. She goes, my worst fear for the longest time of him on the job when he's, kicking in doors as a tech guy and doing all that stuff was, God forbid, he never comes home, right? For God forbid that phone call. She goes, you deal with that. You put it in a box. It's up there, right? It's always there. You always worry about that. She goes, that used to be my biggest fear. My biggest fear now is that, heaven forbid, he's doing his job and he's perceived to be doing it in the wrong way and evil and put, potentially behind bars for it and all those kinds of things. She goes, because that first thing, he's a hero, right? He was going to bad guys and he died in the line of duty kind of thing. The second thing, he becomes a villain. I have to, in order to take care of my family, I have to separate completely. Do you like the weight of that, to be able to even think of that?
It's a lot of pressure. Yeah,
exactly. We forget about that and what the spouses go through and all that stuff. So, that's who you're taking care of when you give to the well, is you're taking care of not only the first responders themselves and the fire. I'm talking we mainly work with police officers, but we have a big fire population as well. These guys and their families go through a lot, and they sacrifice, like you guys all have sacrificed a lot for us on a daily basis, and they need to be taken care of. Somebody kind of hit on this too. We need these guys to be healthy in order for our cities to stay from burning down, right? We can see what one officer, in my opinion, unhealthy, I don't know from Adam, but one unhealthy officer, the kind of ramifications it can have on our country, right? And so even like there might be, people that hate the police on this thread that are listening to it and all that kind of stuff. I would argue that the kind of work is helping your cause as well. in the sense that we're taking care of these guys, and we're taking care of these guys so they're not going out and doing the wrong things, that they're out there doing the right things, and they're in a mental capacity so they can do it the right way. So, but yeah, being able to give, I appreciate the opportunity to say that.
Yeah.
It's huge.
I want to hit on the mental. I've been trying to ask this question for a little bit now. The mental health aspect.
Just ask the question, Dave.
Yeah, and maybe we can compare.
Ask it, please.
Shut up, buddy. We can compare, because obviously you mentioned safe space multiple times. Like, it's okay for them to come to you, and this goes to both of you. Book them, like, as an officer now, and you hit on this. Last time you were on the show, like, talk us through, like, let's just say you're in some shit. All right, your head's jacked up. You're going through some stuff, and you don't have an outside source like Matt, but you are going straight through your police department with the mental health and the counselors that are provided. The risk of doing that compared to, like, going to Matt, which you're calling a safe space, to, like, nothing will happen in your career. Like, if you don't have somebody like Matt and you're just going through the department, what does that look like? And what are the, risks to that, possibly losing your job, things of that nature?
So to answer your question, that's why I said Matt's program, his nonprofit, is so essential. And I wish we had something like that in Jersey, because we have a resiliency program in New Jersey, where now an officer from within the department, whether it's a supervisor or an officer, they're trained. They go to like a 1-week training on how to listen to you, essentially. But the problem is that how confident or how comfortable do you feel going into an office with a supervisor who it's incumbent on them to say, well, this officer just let me know they're not feeling too well, and I feel that we might have to take their gun. How comfortable do you feel talking to someone? And not only that, a lot of times these officers don't get along with the people in the rank and file.
Right.
And you're easily replaceable. I mean, you're easily,
yeah. And my brother Matt, I don't know how it is in Chicago, but I'm pretty sure that this is throughout the nation, right? 700,000 something cops. This happens in multiple departments. I'm speaking to cops from all over, right? The trust factor, right? I mean, it's there's cliques, there's people that you could trust. There's, you learn rather quickly. In my 17-year career, I've learned rather quickly that I could trust officers from outside of my department a lot more than I could from within my own department. You know what I'm saying? So that's also a problem that we have. But to answer your question, the resiliency program that we have, it's pretty broken because nobody really feels comfortable. So that's why I said what Matt is doing is amazing, man, because it makes me feel like, I could go to a place where there's other officers who feel like me. I'm not walking into an office by myself in fear of being scrutinized by people that see me going in there to talk to the resiliency officer. And I'm in a place where we can collectively come together and work out our mental health issues, our marital issues with the date nights and all that. That is so essential, because I'm going to tell you the last thing I'm going to say. When we go in the academy, we're brainwashed that we're a unit. If one fails, we all fail, right? And then when you get on the job, you start seeing like, oh shit, I messed up. Why are they kicking my back in? Why don't they have my back? Why aren't they calling me when I got suspended to see if I'm okay, if my family's okay? And I'm saying all these things because it happened to me. I made some stupid decisions. I made some irresponsible decisions as a rookie officer. Nothing ever criminal, thank God. But what I'm saying is I made mistakes, and I feel like people turn their back on me. They look at you as a load. Oh, look at this guy. He made a bad decision. He did this. Instead of saying, brother, how can I help you? Sister, how can I help you? So that's why your program is so essential, man.
Hey, I got a question for both you and for Bookham and Matt. So to me, like, if you're a police officer, you're dealing with 10% of society, like, and it's the worst 10% of society, like 90% of the day. You know what I mean? Like, so how can you not start looking at everyone the same way as the people that you have all of your encounters with? A, that's the first question. And B, what do these departments do to get police officers more I guess, engaged with the other 90% of society that's not the 10% that are either having the worst day of their lives or just shitty humans. Like, because if all you're seeing is the bad and all you're seeing is bad people, then everybody's going to become a bad person because that's all you experience. And the only way to fight that is to get more encounters with people that are just, for lack of a better term, normal.
Right.
But how do you do that? And then how do you give an officer a time to take a knee? Like, we were talking about the fact that police officers, firefighters, paramedics, you guys are deployed 365 days a year. You're always on duty. You're always got your gun and your badge and all that stuff. But like, there's got to be a time where somebody in the administration or somebody that's a supervisor goes, hey, Bookham's been on the job running the streets now for 3-4 years in a row. Like, let's put him somewhere where he has more exposure to normal people, like in the schools or, in a place where he's going to, meet people and talk to people and be able to get a balance from the dregs of society to the normal and or better people in society.
Yeah. So there's some different points here. So, in our city, there's lots of different things that the police for sure and the fire do as well to try to acclimate with the community to create those positive experiences, whether it's backpack drives or I don't know if you guys have CAPS. Do you have community policing? And we have, it's called our community policing or whatever. So their job is to create these environments where they listen to the community, right? The same stuff that I was talking about before, where they create the environment where it's, the officer friendly type stuff, like those types of things. And there's an effort to make those things happen. So that's like one way that they do that. Well, again, we have a thing that it's all across the country. It's National Night Out, right? So National Night Out is basically law enforcement the Chicago Police Department puts on like a thing at parks at all the different districts where, you got bounce houses. It's a fair, right? You got bounce houses, you got hot dogs, you got car shows, you have all sorts of different stuff. In our district, the one that I recently just moved out of, but live close to it still, they have one of the biggest ones in the country. There's ends up being like 2,000 people that show up. So, and the police are putting this on, right? So that's a community thing. They're trying to invite it. But at the same time, I was just recently invited to a conversation with a superintendent, right? So it's the faith-based community in our city was invited to go have a conversation with a superintendent. They asked 2 questions. First question was, can the faith community help us curb violent crime? Which I'm like, if you're asking a group of pastors how to curb violent crime, we got other problems, right? That was my first thing. That was my first thought, But everybody's going to put those resources out there, like youth programs, different things like that. We need to make sure that we're communicating well. Those answers are out. The second question, which is a big one, is telling for especially our city, was how can the faith community help us with our recruiting, right? Help us with our recruiting because their recruiting problem is major here. I mentioned mentioned the amount of officers that we need and how we have like roughly a little under 10,000 officers working the streets right now. This city needs 13,000 to run it well. So it's kind of scary as far as the numbers aspect of things. But with that aspect of because of it was so short numbers wise, we're so short. When you were a beat guy, when you're a new guy, which I argue this is the wrong idea, but when you're a rookie coming on the first 3 years, you're going to be put in the West and the South sides. You're going to be put in the roughest environments. 1, because that's the best place to learn. 2, you're the low man on the totem pole, right? And when you get further up, you're going to get in the 16th district or the 20th district, the slower district.
Matt,
great point.
I know what you're going to talk about, Nick.
Yeah,
like carrying a saw and going on the floor.
Yeah. So in the military, the bad leaders. Right. And if you're watching in the military, you're a bad leader if you put the new guy on the saw.
Yeah. Right. And then have him deploy immediately.
And then have him deploy immediately. Right. Like you're giving
most
that guy
the most casualty producing weapon. Team. Yeah.
And he doesn't know shit. Right. So it's like you're sending these new guys into the worst areas in a city. What could go wrong?
Right. It's I don't know if you guys remember the story of Ella French. Ella French was murdered by three scumbags, and she was on a CIT unit or whatever. But she was point blank murdered, and that
Rest in
she's
peace.
been on the job 3 years. Right.
Yeah.
She was in one of the worst districts in our city. You know, like and senior guys that have been on the job will tell you the way she approached the car was wrong. She didn't have her hand on her gun. She didn't have it and based on who they knew was in the car, she should have been ready. And it wasn't just her, and it's not the fault her aspect of things, but the fact that she was placed in that environment has some administrative problems, right?
Fucked up.
But now,
go ahead.
This is what I was getting at as far as, you know, you're a senior guy, you put in your years, you go up to those to the nicer communities and stuff. That's when you start seeing the good people, right? The people that I joke will give you the 5-finger wave instead of the 1-finger wave, right? Like those people, like those communities are rarer to find now. Like you're not going to find that as much in our city because crime is so widespread. Like everywhere is dangerous. Everywhere's got its own. It's not quite certain communities, but every part of our downtown Michigan Avenue, which is like our spot to be. We've had, I forget how many the exact number, but
We can look it up.
Murders there. It's insane, man. Like we had a mass shooting, which happened all the time in our city.
They don't
We had
talk
one
about
last
in
weekend.
Chicago. That's not real.
No,
they don't happen in Chicago.
We had 10 people shot right in front of the Bean. The Bean, like you know, like that's supposed to be the tourist attraction, and you know, yeah, we got a world of problems. But to speak to your point about how does the department create that spot where you can see good people, it's hard, man. It is hard to create an environment where guys can trust other people. I mean,
there
I got
you
guys
go.
that,
Segue into what I was gonna say, man. I wrote it down. I wrote it down. Look,
he took notes.
Oh,
trust. Yeah.
now we're learning.
I
Now
wrote
we're
it
learning.
down. I wrote it down, and that my brother, bro, that is the answer. I get so frustrated because community policing in our day and age is BS. Everything my brother just said is the problem, and I'm not saying you, my brother, but I'm saying the whole system. We go out for National Night Out, we give out stickers and hats, but then there's no accountability. There's no relationship after that. We go to these events, we talk to these people at community events. Hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. There's no relationship after that.
No follow-up.
No follow-up.
Yeah.
We listen, these kids need us. When we take this job, and I'm so passionate, I get emotional, man, because when we take this job with the promise, and we take an oath, and we go before the oral board, and they ask us, why do you want to become an officer? Why do you want to work for this community? 9 out of 10 of us will say, I want to better my community. I want to be a role model in my community. I want to be the first officer in my family.
I want to help people.
I want to help people. And
Right.
somewhere along the line, and Buck, you said it, brother. You said, listen, what happens when you see that 10% of evil or bad people? People get tainted. We get tainted, yes. But you have to remember this. The other 90%, they still see us as hope. We can't lose hope. When we lose hope and we quit on these people, then we absolutely negate our oath and the reason why we took the job. When you take the job, you know, when you throw on that vest, right, that tactical vest in the military, and you got to go hit this house in the middle of Afghanistan, you knew what you were signing up for. You knew you wanted to be a Ranger. You knew the possibility that death could come to you, right? So you knew the dangers. I knew when I threw on this uniform that I was going to encounter some negative results, some negative interactions. But my goal was to make a positive impact, regardless of what setting I'm in. And listen, my back has been against the wall with community members that even though I love my community and I try to do the best I can, I still get hated on. Some community members, but that's the 10%.
Well, because you're take away their power.
Yes, that's the 10%. We have to be tangible. We have to be human beings. The uniform should not be a barrier. It should be an olive branch. We have to get out there, get out of our car in the worst neighborhoods. I understand it's dangerous, it's scary, but a simple, hey man, what's up, man? How you doing today, brother? How's yo, I like those sneakers, man. I like what yo, listen, I know you out here doing something negative, bro, but please do me a solid, man. Stay positive. There's nothing out here for you but death. jail or the hospital bed.
Right.
No, hey, I love what you're doing, Bookham, and and that's, you said it the first time you were on our show, is that, and you said it today again, where people are like, hey, how come you're rapping? You're like, you're a cop.
Yeah.
And it's like, when I get out of my car in a bad neighborhood, people know who I am.
That's the key.
And I am
That's the key.
de-escalating the minute I step out of that car, as opposed to a cop escalating the minute they step out of a car.
You are a breath of fresh air. You are
Yes.
supposed to be a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
When I show up on scene, I love when people say, yo, Bookham. Oh, some cops will look back and be like, and it's a fact. It happens. I feel the vibe. But guess what? The presence alone. My brother's a pastor. My brother's a pastor. I'm a Christian. His presence alone brings peace, and it's a breath of fresh air. That's what a good cop is. A good cop, I stay in shape. I box. I train. I'm ready. I'm humble, but you got to stay dangerous. But you also have to be a breath of fresh air, a breath of compassion, a breath of empathy. These people have to see you and say, when you deposit in the bank of trust, right? You're making deposits. Officer Blair, my brother, he's here, prayed for me. He prayed for my family in my worst times. That brother, guess what? When Officer Blair, God forbid, I pray for him that this never happened, he gets into a shooting or something, that community will rally behind him. Why? Because he's deposited into the bank of trust.
Yeah.
When you make a withdrawal, they're going to say, I back that officer, because you know what? He is always here. He's tangible. He talks to us. But you know what? The problem is the community doesn't know these officers. And the first interaction they have with them is, yo, get it. I grant it. We got to assert some type of authority sometimes. It has to happen. It's a part of our job, but it shouldn't be 95% of the time. It should be when necessary. That's it.
No, and then we
bring so passionate about this shit.
No, but that's
you made me want to go fill out an application.
That's right. So no, that's good, buddy. Because I was going to talk about, I have my little private war with Army what the fuck moments, US WTF moments, and like I said, shout out to Kaz, Spanky.
Shout out to all of them, man.
Shout out to all of them. Like they started, we're friends, but like I keep trying to comment on their posts saying, how do you think this helps recruiting when you make this without any tangibles, without anything knowing the backstory, and you just blast this out with somebody who wants to join the military, right? Somebody who wants to be a cop. Right now, that's very difficult because of the narrative. It's because of the narrative that's being sold by the media and all that stuff. And like you just said, the 90-10, we keep going over 90-10. Let's make it 99-1. All right. Because that's what it really is when it comes to a cop. All right. When it comes to a soldier, maybe we go up to 2%. All right. But like, no, like literally it's not even a statistic, because the majority of soldiers are in line, doing the right thing, doing what they're supposed to do. Right. And then there's that one time something happens and all of a sudden we blast it over social media. Right. And now that hurts the recruitment. All right. That hurts the recruitment of good, solid people that want to go make a difference. All right. That's the narrative that needs to be sold. But guess what? That narrative doesn't sell. All right. You know what sells? This cop just killed that guy. That sells a shit ton of fucking ratings. All right. A shit ton of ratings. All right. Hey, this military person, this base just did that. Oh, that's a ton of ratings. As opposed to all these bases doing this, that, and that.
Well, negativity just sells in general, bro.
It just sells.
Bad shit sells.
The other thing that sells is baiting police officers into saying and doing things to make them look like they're power tripping. Good. Then again, I don't understand how they're still falling for the same bullshit tactics of like, oh, I'm going to record you from wherever and then carry a fucking 240 around and then dare you to come tell me the thing. Like, calm down. Like, just like, all right, like whatever. But baiting police officers to have a reaction also sells a lot of clicks.
That's another problem.
There's people that get paid for that.
That's another.
They sue people. They'll sue
because you can videotape. You can videotape from any private property, any public property. I can do whatever I want.
But that's an issue, and I'm actually pushing I'm pushing my captain, or, you know, conversation on the side to try to push for some standard operating procedure that's implemented for body worn cameras. And when we're in our work element, because of the dangers that we face on a regular basis, especially Chicago.
Wait,
And
you don't have to wear body worn all the time?
no, we have to wear it. But what
okay,
I'm saying is, what piggybacking off what they're saying of people invading our space and recording in our face while we're in the commission of an arrest or while we're doing something, it creates a dangerous element.
Heck
We're
yeah.
the only profession where you could go into our workspace and interfere with what we're doing. If I go to you know, TD Bank and I go behind the desk and I start, you think that I'm going to get arrested, you know, but you could come to where I'm making an arrest in New York. I got a bunch of New York cop friends and they always tell me, dude, we cannot say nothing. They could literally come within feet from where we're arresting a perp who has a weapon on them. And we cannot, we just do me a step back. Now you're putting me at danger because I have to turn my back to the situation that I'm dealing with just to tell you to step back for your safety. So it's unbelievable that this is still going on, and I'm just
grateful. To win, because if you don't have them step back and that
they get hurt, you're in trouble.
Shoots them, then you get sued for that. If not, then you get. I mean, we've created so many lose-lose situations for police officers that they're going to hesitate. They don't know what to do because there's no. You can't run all those scenarios through in training. People are like, oh, they ought to be trained better. You can't train all of these crazy scenarios in a lifetime of policing.
You know who the diamonds in law enforcement are? My brother Matt Blair. Those are the ones that need to be teaching cops and need to be in the face of the public, because those are the ones that are going to alleviate the tension between the community and law enforcement, because he sets the bar. When you have these,
I want to clarify something too, just so so I'm not a police officer. I have all the utmost respect for my brother is, all that kind of stuff, which was why the organization kind of works out well.
It doesn't matter.
I'm able to care in a different way. But you know, you guys are talking about this recruiting thing. This strikes something with me too, and I just want to hit this quickly. One of the biggest recruiting issues within the Chicago Police Department, this is what I said in that answer to the superintendent's question about how can you help us with recruiting. The best recruiting thing is taking care of your own people. Because right now, there's police officers that are bashing the Chicago Police Department that work for the department, say this job. Like if you ask my brother, if his kid said, hey, Dad, I want to be a Chicago policeman, he'd say, do anything else. Go be a fireman. You know, like he'd say, do anything else. Just don't work for them. Speaks volumes, right? That speaks volumes about the mistrust and all that. And that, going back to the administration stuff, that's what the environment has been, where it's created that's the kind of officers that you're breeding out there. And it will not change until the officers themselves say, we can't be beating ourselves up. We can't be, you know, this is still a time-honored profession. This is still a beautiful thing where we can still help people, and they have to focus in on that mindset rather than you getting caught up into all the other nonsense. And it happens too much in the sense of you bash the job, you bash the department, all those kinds of things. And there's a lot to bash, don't get me wrong. There's a lot to bash, and it is an extremely difficult thing. But at the same time, the only way you're going to fix it is from within and working out and changing the perspective, changing the narrative of what the rest of the world is trying to put on first responders in general. Changing that narrative one person at a time, one interaction at a time.
That's well put. And again, I've said this to people before, especially like when I go to school board meetings or stuff like that or whatever. And I'm like, whether you want to believe it or not, as an administrator, like you are a leader. All right. You are, and chances are, and this is okay, you're a transactional leader. Okay. It's, I got to get this for that. Right. And there's not, it sucks when we're talking about our line of work, but when it comes to an administrator, that's the life that they have to live. Right. And so it comes down to a moral code. And then that's what, when you talk about voting, like you talked about earlier, is Are you voting for a transactional leader or are you voting for a transformational leader? Right? Are you voting for somebody that's going to actually, do things based on ethics and morals, or are they going to do things based on lobbyists? They're going to do things based on what they're told to do. Right. And again, I mean, this can go into the recap. This is a great conversation. I think this podcast could go for probably 5 hours. And I would love to do it. But
we need to do it. Yeah. We'll come on Bookham Show. Yeah.
We'll come on Bookham Show. But the Bama game's coming on here pretty soon. So we gotta
guys.
I'm heading to a basketball game.
We could do it this week. Can you guys do it this week? We'll get on. It's not through Zoom, it's not through video, it's all on Spotify, Apple Music, all that. But I can have all you guys on and we can have a great conversation, man.
That'd be fun.
Let's do it.
We got time.
Bookham, I know you just texted me too that you got to go. Send out a plug, man. Send out a plug to all your hoodies and the merch, because you have a nonprofit as well.
I got a nonprofit. I'm working on the 501c3 status as we speak. So I'm not going too crazy with the fundraising, but I am selling hoodies right now to raise money for the Bridges Project, because what I do in the Bridges Project is use hip hop as a conduit to bridge the gap between law enforcement and mostly the youth of communities all over. So what I do is I just bring my program to the schools free of charge. I give them a PowerPoint. I perform for them, and I do some motivational speaking for the kids. So if you know somebody, if you know a kid that may need assistance, a school that may need somebody to come in that can understand them. I come from a broken home, GED. I understand them. Listen, I'll come for free. I never charge. It's all free. It's all donated time. And just reach out to me. You can email me at the Bookham at thebridgesproject.info. That's Bookham at thebridgesproject.info. If you want to reach me on Instagram, which is the social media handle I'm on the most, it's Bookham_Bridges. That's Bookham_Bridges. And last, my website. If you want to see what I do, hear some of my music, see some of my videos, you could go to www.thebridgesproject.info.
Perfect. Hey, don't jump off real quick, because we're gonna close out the show and then you can jump off. But again, a quick recap, guys. We're the only people that are going to take care of the community is the community. All right, not the administrators, not the transactional leaders. Matt has stepped up. All right, Bookham has already stepped up. All right, Bookham has stepped up and done things outside of the box to help his community. All right, Matt has come into play and put his skin in the game and left probably a life that was pretty standard. All right, and to where now he's dealing with a lot of things and making a difference. So we appreciate having you guys on. The devil is real. Okay, the New Jersey Devil is real. That's a fact. And then Veterans Day is Veterans Day. All right, do the damn parade on Veterans Day. All right, and all right, and if you watched the show earlier, if you want to rewind. And then at the end, you'll see all the QR codes of the people that support us. All right. And they support our mission. So scan on that. And if you need a job, it's Fleet Techs. You want some recovery stuff that I'm going to take tomorrow for sure after this show, because I've been drinking a lot of vodka during this show. So
shout out to 10th Mountain Whiskey if you want some whiskey or some bourbon.
That's what it is.
That's our style. Yeah.
10 Mountain Vodka. All right. 10 Mountain Vodka. And then we got NRF2 Warrior, who gives us hangover pills. So we get them. And
you got the whole package, man.
The whole package. We got hangover pills. But all right, Dave, close us out.
Great conversation to have in front of a pastor, by the way.
Yeah.
Well,
hey,
great conversation.
Say what's in mine.
I'm messing with you, brother.
It's
have a happy Saturday. We'll see you guys next week. And then Bookham. Yeah, we'll stay on real quick after the show. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks,
Yo, guys, Matt, good to meet you, man. Guys, be safe, man. God bless you.